Hi guys, I'm John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and the Legend of Ashley Fox. Today we're looking at Conan the Barbarian 152 along with the Ace of Wands, the Salamander. Now, I've never understood the fascination with salamanders and why they have like such an occult significance. They were all around when we were kids growing up out in the Midwest. I grew up about an hour northwest of Chicago. Just south of the Wisconsin border, and we found these things everywhere. And so I had to look it up before we did this card today and figure out what it is that makes salamanders so fascinating to the occult world, because I never knew that as a kid. I've only found it out recently. Plus, you've got Ethan's Salamandroid in the Cyber Frog series. And so I did look it up, and I found out that salamanders can regrow just about any body part with almost zero scarring. So geckos can regrow their tails, but the lizard in Spider-Man is a salamander who can regrow his arm. They just gave him scales and a forked tongue. So the salamander can regrow its body parts. Like the snake sheds its skin and the spider sheds its skin. They have that, immortality thing. The salamander can just regrow stuff. It's pretty cool. Conan 152. This is a great cover. Conan is not the main character of this story, and I'll show you why. To be the main character of the story, you have to be the person who drives the plot forward and makes decisions. So this is the Dark Blade of Jergal Zod, and this is an Elric story in that it's an enchanted blade, and the more you use it, the more you lose your soul to the demon that owns the blade. Only in Elric, Stormbringer is the demon, whereas in this, the demon is attached to the blade. The blade is sort of its, what's the right word? The blade is its portal, its device to access the mortal realm from the netherworld, the warp in Warhammer, where all the demons live, the dark side, the antimatter realm. And so here we go. This girl, Clemanthe, is the main character. The bad guy, Jergal Zod, has a plan for Conan. He sees that Conan is a very formidable warrior. He's taken on 4 guys at once, doesn't even get wounded, kills them all. Asks Clemanthe if she's watching, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm watching. So Jergal Zod sends Clemanthe down to Conan to take Conan to the blade to make Conan this guy's slave so that he can, because he knows Conan's destined to be a king and he wants to take over the mortal realm, and he believes that by possessing Conan's soul that he can do that. So after the battle, Conan's out walking around, sees a massive pterodactyl kidnapping Clemanthe. Now again, this is a 17-page comic expanded to 22 pages. So we get what would have been very much smaller panels. We get 4 and 3. This panel would have been so much smaller in a 17-page comic. So with this. John Buscema is being given the freedom to draw larger with more pages. He's not necessarily doing more panels. And that's very smart, because we saw his first 22-page comic where he had stuck with the smaller panels and was dragging out scenes and making them more elaborate than they needed to be. Instead, he's just making them bigger now. I think this is a smarter move. Anyhow, Conan, this is the one decision Conan makes, is to rescue Clemanthe. And we saw this yesterday, where a giant eagle attacked him and he, had to cut his way off of it. This has happened a few times recently. So he's attacking this monster. She's screaming, "Don't let it drop me." He's like, "I'm doing all I can." Plus, this Solar Fox ad is really pretty good. She's beautiful, more so in this panel than this one, but it's for a video game like, Space Invaders or Galaga. And I don't want to go through this too fast. The art is amazing. They land, she's okay. The monster can communicate with her telepathically. Conan's sword is broken. So she agrees to show him where another sword is nearby. Conan wants to go to the village, but she's like, no, we have to go out to these ruins to get you a new sword. Look at this, 5 panels and 3 panels. You wouldn't have gotten these expanded panels in a 17-page book. John Buscema would have had to crush these and fit more onto the page. Instead, he's allowed to do more expansive open panels. I love that it's always a full moon in a Conan comic. You never see the moon change shape. Anyhow, they head down. They find the sword. It's in a Zergal-jawed statue. She, being the netherworld witch that she is, summons up all these, Conan calls them a priesthood, guarding the sword, and he lays into them. Now, if you remember how Stormbringer worked in the Elric books, the more Elric used it, the stronger Stormbringer got. It gave Elric power too, but it was also capable of feeding on Elric's life force. And that's a similar thing to what's happening here. The sword is feeding on Conan's strength when he uses it, and it's taking more and more of his life force, possessing his soul. He's just slicing through the bad guys. But now he's exhausted. She helps him out of the cavern. Zergal-Zod is watching. She sets up a fire. Conan has to have 3 fights. He has to use the sword 3 times in one night in order for Zergal-Zod to take his soul, which is an arbitrary rule given by the writer. Again, Conan's not even the main character, especially at this point. Once he took possession of the sword, he's just acting on instinct. It's Clemente who has to make the choices. So the demon is telling her, remember our deal, I own you, etc., etc. Again, I don't want to turn the pages. The art is so good. So she calls forth another demon, a giant lizard, for Conan to fight. It wakes him up. He grabs the sword. It takes a beating on this one. Smacks him across the face with his tail. Look at how big these panels are. Still no dead space, but definitely leaning into the extra pages. And now Conan had just about given up, but the sword is doing the work for him. It's dragging him to fight the demon, forcing him to do it. So again, he's not making any decisions. The sword is doing the work. It says all throughout here, it's like it's dancing in my hand. I'm not going to go into how bad the dialogue is. It's atrocious. I'm not going to go into how easy it would have been to fix. It would have been simple. It's giving Michael Fleischer the benefit of the doubt to say he was rushed, but the truth is he's probably a New York Jew. And am I mad today about racism. We'll save that for after. Anyhow, she is in love with him now, and this is where they have their fun. Although the demon who is watching from the nether realm, Conan's sleeping. He reminds her that Conan has to defeat 3 monsters. He has to use the sword 3 times. And so she refuses. She's in love with Conan. Oops, sorry guys. Just bumped the table. So yeah, she's in love with Conan. At some point, here they say we don't want to watch their dalliance. So you can presume that they, got busy. And especially what happens in the end. But she's still awake. And also the other thing is Conan's exhausted by these battles, but apparently not that exhausted. Because you're never that exhausted. And this demon is like, you have to call forth the 3rd monster. And she refuses. So she is the main character. She's the one making the decisions that drive the plot. He sends forth all these demons. Conan gets up, grabs the sword. She knocks him out, dispatches the demons herself. And so this is her taking action. And look at this, 7 panels over 2 pages. That's unheard of for John Buscema. That is a wealth of art that we're getting in these 22-page books where he's just doing bigger panels instead of compressing it more. Like this panel, if you think about it, it could just be this right here. This could just be Conan collapsed, right? He's really putting in all the extra border space. Like you could have really cropped a lot of these quite a bit. She takes up the sword, throws it into the ocean. He's furious. She gets a chance to come back to Conan and tells him that she loves him. And this is going to be it for her. I think the camera's a little bit off today. Apologies. I am in a right mood. Anyhow, she dissolves to dust in Conan's arms. That's like 2 or 3 girls. Two issues back, 150, the one that I really liked. That girl, she turned into a monster, remember? And then the Tower of Fire and it collapsed. Poor Conan. Return of the Jedi ad, very nice. And that's it. Conan rides off. The demon is furious. She's just a pile of dust at his feet. Star Frontiers. Again, apologies for going through this quite so quickly. The big panels really make it fast. So that's Conan 152. That is my last Conan book. Tomorrow we're going to be back on 100 Bullets, and talk to you guys in a minute. Hey guys, I am John Carrick, author of Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. These books have been for me the equivalent of psychotherapy. These have helped me through so many stresses in my life, helped me organize my thoughts, helped me organize my soul, my spirit. I've talked before about how I feel like schizophrenic in that the left side of my brain is an absolute sociopath, psychopathic murderer, and the right side of my brain is an empathic, good Samaritan, wannabe Jesus. The artistic side can see anyone's pain and empathize with it. The left side says, fuck you, it's your own goddamn fault. And has no sympathy and no mercy. And today's card, today we're on deck 4. We finished deck 3 yesterday. This is the Ace of Spades, I believe. This says Mel and Gordon, I think, are married and the catastrophe has happened and they've been separated. So what would you do in the catastrophe if you'd been separated from your loved ones, etc., etc.? What's your plan to get back to them? My plan in the catastrophe is a campaign of murder and arson like the world has never fucking seen. And today I know why. Today I've been reminded of all my hatreds, all my racial rage about Los Angeles and the incompetents who fucking live here and pretend that we white people owe them everything. Now, if we had a homogenistic white society, I would probably still be this furious. But we don't. So I get to blame all the minorities for this bullshit. The experience that I'm having right now is with the U.S. Postal Service. I dropped off 12 boxes of some rather expensive items on Monday, and they haven't scanned any of them. They haven't taken the little gun and scanned them to put the tracking numbers online. So I have all these customers on eBay. This is all sold on eBay. I'm not gonna, deny it. And yeah, I got myself into trouble, but I paid them to take the gun and fucking scan the packages, and they can't be bothered. I also watched the beginning of the new Captain America Brave New World last night. I hate blacks with such a fucking passion because they're lazy and stupid. and we don't need them in society. They're dumber than fucking animals. And I don't want them around. I hate talking to them. I hate hearing from them. I hate having to communicate with them in their customer service roles. They all end up with government jobs where they can't be fired. My company fires. My boss is married to a black woman, so he's constantly hiring ignorant black men who won't do the fucking job and through constant incompetence get fired. I work for the easiest fucking job in the world. The company that I work for right now, it's the easiest work in the world. And if you can't do it, it's because you're an asshole. It's because you're a fucking dick. And that's who these people are generally. They're drunk, they're on drugs, and they're absolutely fucking incompetent. And when you ask them to do their job, they pretend you're holding a whip over them. I fucking hate them. I hate them with everything in my spirit. Venting this to you guys does no good. I watched the chapter of The Robe. I've got The Robe right here. This book is one of the most influential books for me. This is probably my favorite book. This is Lloyd C. Douglas's story of the crucifixion of Jesus and the Roman tribune who did it, who was ordered to carry it out, named Marcellus Gallio. It's fiction, but it's great. And I think this is my autographed copy. I think I bought this for like $30 on eBay. And this is probably the best book ever written. My favorite. You know, is this better than The Lord of the Rings? It's a single volume. It's not 3. It's one book. I have chapter 22 posted here in the comments where Marcus Gallio goes to the city of Arpino and helps them in their summer harvest season for the greatest melons in the world. And his influence there is transformative on the people. It is very much like a Conan comic. It is very much like the old pocket heroism television shows like the A-Team, Magnum P.I., Simon and Simon, or even Quantum Leap, where the character is thrust into a society that has its own problems, and through empathy, consideration, and patience, he's able to transform the lives of the people there. You can't do that for blacks. You can't. You just can't. They need to get out of white societies. I'm so pissed today. And it's a minor thing, but it's a major thing because you can't hold them accountable. They're like women. No reason or accountability, as Jack Nicholson says in that movie, As Good as It Gets, where he also is an author. I think becoming an author has made me a lot more patient with society. I've had to work a lot harder than the rest of you guys because of my own personal failings in the development inside, gestation before I was born, where my eyes were completely fucked up and I was basically born handicapped. I wished so many times I'd been thrown off Tarpeian Rock as a child, or murdered as the 300 did it, or, when the babies weren't good enough, or the Spartans, not 300. In Northern Europe, they just used to leave the children out in the forest. Now, there's a story called The Eaters of the Dead, where those children, it's also the movie 13th Warrior by Michael Crichton, where all the retarded kids like me formed their own tribe and were preying on the nearby villages, and they had to send Beowulf essentially out to murder them all. I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so fucking pissed. There's even that story about Antarctica where the savages down there are fighting with each other. I hate them. I hate them with everything in me. And I don't have any excuses for it. I know that this hate is poisoning my soul. Hate is like drinking poison and hoping the other guy dies. But God forbid the lights in this city fucking go out. I have nothing to lose. I will go on a campaign of murder and arson. I will expend all the bullets and then I will turn to swords until someone kills me, and I don't fucking care. I really hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you found a way to be at peace with this world. For me, it was writing, and I haven't been writing in a few weeks, and that's probably why I'm so pissed off. I haven't been doing anything artistic because I've just been focused on trying to get this extra money. I fell behind in my rent because I needed eye surgery on this eye, and I paid cash out of pocket. A few other things I did. I needed car repair. I needed some other shit, and it all set my rent behind. I could be mad about not having made it in Hollywood because of the culture war, but the truth is, if there hadn't been a culture war, if we were in a homogenous white society, it would have been that much harder to get work in Hollywood because you'd be up against white people who are more skilled than the rest of you incompetent fucks. I don't care. I'm just, today, look, you guys, I apologize for this one. I'm in a bad mood and I only have so much time to get this done before I have to just skip it for the day. But I figured I'd show you guys. You can say this is the real me. It certainly is today. I'm not like this all the time, but sometimes catch me on a bad day. And I'm so glad, I watched A Complete Unknown the other day about Bob Dylan and how he'd gone into songwriting and never done anything physical. And he was a small guy to begin with. So, 150 pounds, 130 pounds. He's not Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was a small guy. There's no excuse for not being a man. You have to be capable of protecting yourself and other people if you have to. And I love that I'm capable. And God forbid the fucking lights go out. Because I'm going to go ham on this city. See you guys tomorrow.